Hard to believe it's already week 13 in college football, but here we are, Ted. And let's start with a game that I'm not sure I could be more excited about. Indiana, the mighty Indiana Hoosiers travel to Columbus to take on Ohio State. This is 11 a.m. on Fox. Ohio State is currently a 13.5 point favorite. That's right. Number two, Ohio State is a 13.5 point favorite over number five, Indiana. Am I crazy to think that all of the pressure in this football game's on Ohio State?
No, of course that's how it is. Absolutely. Pressure's on Ohio State. Indiana's undefeated. Ohio State, is pretty much a shoe-in by most people's take on the playoff, but they're not going to make it in if they lose to Indiana. And I mean, I guess they still could, but I think that Indiana has been mowing through people. They haven't played the toughest of schedules. I understand that, but they've played who they've played, and they've done what they're supposed to do to everyone. And they've got an incredible amount of confidence. I think they feed off their head coach, who has an incredible amount of confidence. And yeah, they're going on the road, and 100% Ohio State, and they've had a bye week. They're going to have some stuff cooked up for this game, man. And this is, I guess, I don't know the history of Indiana football very well, but I it's hard pressed to think that they've ever had a bigger game in the history of their football program than this one right here.
I think that's fair to say. And I know nothing about the history of Indiana football.
Right.
But there's a
Right.
reason we know none of the history of Indiana football. It's because there's not much history. And Kurt Signetti seems like the type of guy that is going to have those players from Indiana walking into that stadium believing they are going to win the game.
Yep.
And there's no denying that Ohio State is more talented on both sides of the ball. But the most talented team doesn't always win. I cannot wait to watch this football game. And we're going to, with OU having the night kick, we're going to get to watch every snap of this thing. And I really think that it comes down to what happens at the line of scrimmage. Indiana's O line has been really good, coached by Bob Bostad, coached me in Tennessee. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say Bob is more suited for the college game. It does not surprise me that those guys are playing hard and blocking the hell out of people. They've been really good, but Curtis Rourke's going to have to be amazing in this game. Will they be able to get the run game really going against that Ohio State defense? We'll see. But I know Rourke is going to have to outplay Will Howard. And I don't think it's that crazy to think that he can and will.
I'm totally with you. I mean, I I'd almost be shocked if he doesn't to some degree. Now that doesn't mean that Indiana is guaranteed to win the game. There's some other factors here, but I've liked what I see from him a ton. And Will Howard, obviously a good player. He's done some good stuff. He's going to be surrounded by a lot more talent, but I like their offense. I like their system coming off a bye week. They're going to have some things cooked up for him. As long as they play Rourke, I think that he's got a good chance to outplay Will Howard.
I think OU fans will have a close eye on how the Indiana offense looks in this one.
Yeah, for sure.
I This is massive for Ryan Day. Losing to Michigan in the last couple years, okay. Losing to Oregon on the road this season, okay. But Ohio State fans will not tolerate losing to Indiana. They will not tolerate that. And everyone is talking about how big of this game is for Indiana and for Ohio State and what it means for the college football playoff picture. And I'm over here going, this game is more important for Ryan Day than anything else. It is a massive, massive game for Ryan Day and the way that he's viewed in college football. There's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day to win this football game.
Yeah, and zero pressure on the other sideline with Signetti.
Locked in, baby. 8 mil a year. Sitting back, ripping cigs.
8 mil a year, and he's going to walk out there for the pregame chat and handshake, and you're not going to be able to tell who's the coach of Ohio State. And you know what I'm saying? Like the body language from one guy is going to be like that. He must be the coach of Ohio State. Look how calm and confident he is.
Who's that guy?
Yep. Yep.
No, you're right. But who do you like?
Indiana. I've been saying it for weeks now that I think Indiana goes in and beats Ohio State. I can't point to one thing and say this is the reason, but I could say it's that type of year and the belief that that team has in what they're doing, the confidence they have in what they're doing. You can't quantify that. And on the flip side with Ohio State, I mean, I think that they're a good team. I think they've got a ton of great talent, but for whatever reason this year, it doesn't feel like it's ever got to the point where you say that's what I really expected from them. They're playing, they're getting everything out of all of these players, out of their offense and defense, what we expect. I feel like they've still underperformed to a degree, and with that comes pressure and uncertainty. And that's not what you want in a big game like this. Now, they are at home, and I think that's an edge in their favor until it's not. Until it becomes nervous in the second half and Indiana makes a play or two, maybe they have the lead and you can feel the nervousness from your own crowd. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Give me Ohio State at home, more weapons offensively. I think it's just a tough ask for Indiana, but there's no way I would lay 13 and a half against that Indiana team. No way. No, thank you. Stay away. Sit back and enjoy this one, people. I cannot wait. Which SEC game intrigues you more? Texas A&M at Auburn or Ole Miss at Florida?
The A&M Auburn game is really interesting. The line, as tight as it is, I don't know.
Texas A&M, a 2.5 point favorite currently.
It does. I really like Elko, and I feel like it feels like the program has kind of turned a corner, but this is one of those games previously where you look in this light, this is a game that A&M goes and loses. You got the big Texas game right around the corner, like this huge buildup that's been years in the making, and here it is, the first time they've played in over a decade. Both going to be like top 10 playoff on the line, and A&M loses the week before to Auburn. I mean, doesn't it kind of feel like that spot? But we'll see if Elko's turned the corner.
The Aggies would not be the first to have their dreams die at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
It's true.
But I do think Texas A&M is a better football team. Now, would it surprise me if this is a close, uncomfortable game in the fourth quarter? No, not at all. If Auburn can get the running game going with Jarquez Hunter, I assume that Cam Coleman and Keandre Lambert-Smith are going to make a couple plays where you go, oh my gosh, these guys.
Yep.
And that's kind of just what they do. But Marcel Reed is a young quarterback going and starting on the road. How will he handle that? I'm not entirely sure how wild of an environment it's going to be. I like to think that Auburn fans are petty and they want to ruin A&M's season, and they'll show up in a big way and be ready to roll for this one. I don't know that for a fact, but it's just kind of my assumption. They're a 4-6 football team, but it's that's asking a lot of a young quarterback. And Auburn is not, it's not like they're not a talented football team, man. They got
Yeah,
some players. So I think this one's going to be close, and it's going to come down to the back half of the fourth quarter.
yeah. No, I agree with that. And we'll see it. I think that what A&M can do on the line of scrimmage defensively is going to be a big factor. Turnovers have been the Achilles heel for Auburn. We know what that feels like, and if you can get their quarterback under pressure, that's typically where those are going to come from. So I'll take A&M, but it's one of those where won't be shocking at all if they're fighting for their life late and Auburn has a chance to do something crazy. I mean,
Mike
we've seen them
Elko.
play really good late whenever they don't have a good football team.
Mike Elko has to win this game. When you slip up in the press conference the way that he did, when you say, "Hey, we're completely focused on Texas," oh no, I mean Auburn. When that clip exists, you simply cannot lose this football game.
No.
Even though he quickly corrected the mistake, and it was funny as hell. But now that that lives in the world, you cannot lose this football game. You have to win by any means necessary.
Hey, unfortunately, we know how this works. I know he quickly corrected himself, but the clip where it cuts off and he didn't correct himself is the one that will live on forever if they lose, right?
Yes. Yes. Have to win the game.
Have to.
If you win the game, that clip disappears forever. Maybe your hardcore fans laugh about it every once in a while. If you lose the game, it never goes away.
Never.
Ever. So, got to win the game, Mike Elko. Just you have no choice. One last game. Army Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium. 6 p.m. on NBC. Notre Dame's currently a 14.5-point favorite. Ted, I love my country. I love the troops. But I don't think this is going well for Army.
Yeah. It's, I mean, they're legit good. They got a good defense. Um, their offense, we all know what it is and how dangerous it can be and what happens if they find a little flaw and you have trouble stopping something that they can just exploit it for an entire day. Um, but the thing about Army is they get to sneak up on a lot of people. You know, they don't get to sneak up on Notre Dame though. As a non-conference opponent, Notre Dame is used to defending this type of team and this type of offense, maybe more so than anyone in Power Five football. So, if they can force a couple of turnovers and force the game to be played to their liking in their style, they'll have a chance. But it's hard to think that they're going to be able to score with Notre Dame.
Riley Leonard's playing the best ball of his career right now.
Mm-hmm.
Running game for the Irish looks good. I just don't think Bryson Daly and that Army offense, I don't think they're going to be able to consistently move the football against the defense, like you mentioned, that is comfortable playing against a triple option team. I don't know how the Yankee Stadium thing factors in. I don't know who that favors. I would assume Notre Dame. I don't know. It
Army.
just
Bad surface always favors an option team.
It's a good point. It's a baseball field, people.
Yep. I,
So
I gotta imagine it's probably not gonna. I don't know what the weather looks like, but my guess is it's not gonna be a great, like the best surface they've played on.
this may not be the best analysis, but it's also just hard to imagine that Notre Dame's going to lose to Northern Illinois and Army. Like those will be their losses. You know what I'm saying?
I do like that this is like a 1950 throwback that you've got, two highly ranked a Notre Dame and Army team with a possible playoff or championship on the line. Uh, it's crazy. I will say this. I mean, you can beat Army start to finish and not win the game by more than 14 and a half points. All right, you could totally dominate them and win like, 14-10 or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's a pretty big line against, because Notre Dame, I go back, obviously Notre Dame is better than North Texas, but North Texas played them a while back and had 6 possessions. And I haven't looked at all their games to see what all they've done, but remember we had one of the best offenses in Oklahoma history when Kyler Murray was at the helm, and I think we scored on every single possession and barely avoided going to overtime. So, I that seems like a large line to me.
It feels significant, disrespectful to the troops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that game, though.
I am too.
Going to be an awesome setting at Yankee Stadium. That's going to be. I typically am not a fan of big football games being played anywhere other than like college football stadiums or the occasional, iconic venue for a neutral site. For some reason, yeah, Yankee Stadium is doing it for me for this one. I don't know why.
Did you see the Army uniforms?
Oh my gosh.
That's this game, right? That they're
No, the uniform reveal is for Army
Navy.
Navy.
Okay.
They always those reveals that they both do for that game are so sick.
It's so cool that like they have the ability to base their uniforms off of like a historical event is so cool.
Yeah, it's Army and Navy, man.
Really cool.
Bucket list. I'm getting to check off Death Valley at night next week,
Yeah.
even though it may not be the full experience, let's say, but Army Navy on the bucket list as well. The college football bucket list.
Yeah.
Got to get there at some point.
Yeah.